The gas station sat at the edge of nowhere, where the desert began to swallow the highway whole. It was 11:47 p.m., and the only sounds were the hum of fluorescent lights and the low rumble of a Harley-Davidson cooling down after 200 miles of asphalt and silence. Marcus Reaper Calloway pulled off his helmet and ran a hand through his graying hair. 53 years old, tattoos fading like old promises, and a past he'd spent 2 decades trying to outride. He'd been a different man once. Reckless, young, and stupid. A father who ran when things got hard. A coward who chose the open road over a crying baby girl. He stepped off the bike, boots crunching on gravel, and headed toward the neon glow of the convenience store. The night was still, too still, and then he heard it, the sharp metallic click of a safety being released. "Don't move." The voice was young, female, shaking. Marcus froze, hands slowly rising. He turned his head just enough to see her, a teenage girl, maybe 17, standing 10 feet away with a trembling Glock pointed directly at his chest. Her face was streaked with dirt and tears, her eyes wild with something deeper than fear. Rage, desperation, recognition. "You don't remember me, do you?" she whispered, her voice breaking. Marcus's heart stopped, because he did. In the curve of her jaw, the shape of her eyes, the way she held herself like she was already broken but still standing, he saw someone he hadn't seen in 16 years. "Lily?" His voice cracked. She flinched at the sound of her name. The gun didn't lower. "Why did you leave me when I was little?" If you're already hooked, drop a comment below and tell us what you think is about to happen. Marcus Calloway had spent 16 years running from ghosts. He'd crossed state lines, changed his name twice, and buried himself in the Brotherhood of the Iron Veil MC, a crew of men who didn't ask questions about the past because they all had their own demons riding pillion. But ghosts have a way of catching up. The girl standing before him wasn't the baby he'd left behind in a 1-bedroom apartment in Reno. She wasn't the toddler he'd promised to come back for. She was a stranger with his blood, holding a gun like she knew how to use it, and asking the one question he'd spent half his life avoiding. "Lily, put the gun down," Marcus said slowly, his voice steady despite the storm raging in his chest. "Whatever you think is about to happen here, this isn't the way. You don't get to tell me what to do." She spat, her finger tight on the trigger. "You don't get to walk back into my life and pretend you care." Marcus kept his hands raised, his eyes locked on hers. "I'm not pretending. I know I messed up. I know I messed up?" She laughed bitterly, the sound hollow and sharp. "You disappeared. You left me with her. You left me with nothing." The her hung in the air like a curse. Marcus knew who she meant. Lily's mother. A woman who'd been too lost in her own darkness to raise a child. A woman Marcus had been too young and broken to save. "Where is she now?" Marcus asked quietly. Lily's face twisted. "Dead. Overdosed 3 years ago. I've been on my own ever since." The words hit Marcus like a sledgehammer. He'd always told himself that leaving had been the right choice, that Lily would be better off without him. But standing here, staring at the wreckage of the girl he'd abandoned, he knew the truth. He'd been wrong. "I'm sorry," Marcus said, and he meant it with every fractured piece of his soul. "I'm so sorry, Lily." "Sorry doesn't fix anything," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "Sorry doesn't give me back the 16 years I spent wondering why I wasn't enough for you to stay." Marcus took a slow step forward. "You were always enough. I was the one who wasn't." The gun wavered, just slightly, but enough. "Then why?" Lily's voice broke. "Why didn't you come back?" Marcus swallowed hard. "Because I was a coward. Because I thought you deserved better than a broken man who didn't know how to be a father. But I was wrong, Lily. I should have stayed. I should have fought for you." For a long moment, the only sound was the wind whistling through the desert and the distant hum of the highway. Lily's hand shook, the gun still pointed at Marcus's chest, but her resolve was crumbling. "I came here to kill you," she whispered. "I tracked you down. I waited. I told myself it would make the pain stop. Marcus nodded slowly. If that's what you need to do, I won't stop you. But before you pull that trigger, I need you to know something. Lily's eyes locked on his. I never stopped thinking about you, Marcus said, his voice raw. Not once. Every mile I rode, every sunrise I watched, you were there, and I hated myself for leaving. I hated myself for not being strong enough to come back. Lily's face crumpled. The gun lowered an inch, then another. I don't know how to forgive you, she whispered. I'm not asking you to, Marcus said, but if you'll let me, I want to try to make things right. I can't give you back the years we lost, but I can give you a future. I can give you a family. A family? Lily's laugh was bitter. You're 16 years too late for that. Marcus shook his head. No, a real family. My brothers, the Iron Veil. They're not perfect, but they're loyal. They take care of their own. And if you'll let me, I want you to be one of us. Lily stared at him, searching his face for any sign of a lie. But all she saw was a broken man trying to piece himself back together. Slowly, she lowered the gun. Marcus exhaled, his entire body trembling. He took a careful step forward, then another, until he was standing right in front of her. And then, for the first time in 16 years, Marcus Calloway wrapped his arms around his daughter. Lily didn't hug him back, not at first. But she didn't pull away either, and as the seconds stretched into minutes, Marcus felt her shoulders shake as the sobs finally came, raw, desperate, and long overdue. I'm here now, Marcus whispered into her hair. I'm not going anywhere, I promise. And this time, he meant it. By the time the sun rose over the Nevada desert, Marcus and Lily were sitting on the curb outside the gas station, sharing a stale cup of coffee and a silence that felt less like tension and more like the beginning of something fragile. Lily had told him everything. The years in foster care, the nights she'd spent sleeping in her car, the jobs she'd worked just to survive. She'd been alone for so long that she'd forgotten what it felt like to be seen. Marcus listened without interruption, his jaw tight, his hands clenched. Every word was a knife twisting deeper into the guilt he'd carried for 16 years. But he didn't look away. He owed her that much. So what now? Lily asked finally, her voice hoarse from crying. You just expect me to ride off into the sunset with you and your biker buddies? Marcus shook his head. No, I expect you to decide what you want. If you want to walk away right now, I won't stop you. But if you're willing to give me a chance, I'll spend the rest of my life proving that I'm not the man who left you. Lily studied him for a long moment, then looked down at the gun still resting in her lap. She'd carried it for weeks, planning this moment, imagining the satisfaction of watching him fall. But now, sitting here in the pale morning light, all she felt was exhaustion. I don't have anywhere else to go, she admitted quietly. Marcus nodded. Then come with me, just for a few days. Meet the crew, see what life could look like, and if you decide it's not for you, I'll help you figure out what comes next. Lily hesitated, then slowly nodded. Okay, but I'm keeping the gun. Marcus almost smiled. Fair enough. He pulled out his phone and sent a single text to the Iron Veil group chat. Need the crew, urgent, Big Springs Motel, noon. Within seconds, the replies started rolling in. On my way. What's going on? Be there in an hour. Marcus pocketed the phone and looked at Lily. You're about to meet some of the most loyal people I know. They're rough around the edges, but they've got good hearts. And once they know your family, they'll treat you like one of their own. Lily raised an eyebrow. You told them about me? Not yet, Marcus admitted. But I'm about to. By noon, the parking lot of the Big Springs Motel was filled with motorcycles. 17 of them to be exact. All bearing the Iron Veil patch, all ridden by men and women who dropped everything to answer Marcus's call. Lily stood near Marcus's bike, arms crossed, watching as the crew dismounted and gathered around. They were an eclectic mix. Former military ex-cons, single parents, and people who'd simply chosen the road over conventional life. But they all shared one thing. Loyalty. Reaper, A tall man with a thick beard and a prosthetic leg called out as he limped over. "What's the emergency?" Marcus stepped forward, his hand resting on Lily's shoulder. "Everyone, this is Lily, my daughter." The silence was immediate and heavy. "Your daughter?" A woman named Jinx repeated, her eyes wide. "Since when do you have a daughter?" "Since 16 years ago," Marcus said evenly, "and I haven't been there for her. But that changes today." The crew exchanged glances, processing the information. Then, one by one, they stepped forward. The bearded man extended his hand to Lily. "Name's Diesel. Welcome to the family, kid." Lily shook his hand hesitantly, then found herself being pulled into a hug by Jinx, a fiery redhead covered in tattoos. "You're one of us now," Jinx said firmly, "and we take care of our own." By the time the introductions were done, Lily felt something she hadn't felt in years, like she belonged. That evening, the crew gathered around a bonfire outside the motel, sharing stories and laughter, while Lily sat quietly beside Marcus, taking it all in. For the first time in as long as she could remember, she didn't feel alone. But as the night wore on, Marcus pulled her aside. "There's something I need to tell you," he said, his voice serious, "about why I left." Lily tensed. "I already know why. You didn't want to be a father." "No," Marcus said firmly. "That's not true. I left because I thought I was protecting you." Lily frowned. "Protecting me from what?" Marcus hesitated, then sighed. "From me, from the life I was living. I was involved in some bad things back then, Lily. Dangerous things. And I didn't want that world to touch you." "So you just disappeared?" Lily's voice was sharp. "You didn't think to fight for me? To change?" "I tried," Marcus said quietly. "But by the time I got clean, your mom had moved, and I couldn't find you." "I searched for years, Lily. I never stopped looking." Lily stared at him, tears welling in her eyes. "Then why didn't you find me?" "Because the system made it impossible," Marcus said, his voice breaking. "I had no legal rights, no way to track you down. And eventually I had to accept that maybe you were better off without me." Lily shook her head. "I wasn't better off. I was alone." Marcus reached out and took her hand. "I know, and I'm sorry, but I'm here now, and I'm not going anywhere." Lily looked down at their joined hands, then back up at Marcus. "Promise?" "I promise," Marcus said. "On my life." "We're in Big Springs, Nevada. It's 9:23 p.m., and a father and daughter are finally starting to heal. But their journey is just beginning. 3 days later, Marcus and Lily were riding east on Interstate 80, the Iron Veil crew flanking them in a tight formation. Lily had traded the gun for a leather jacket with the Iron Veil patch stitched across the back, a symbol that she was now part of something bigger than herself. But the peace didn't last long. As they rolled into the small town of Elk Ridge, Wyoming, Marcus's phone buzzed. He pulled over to check it, and his face went pale. "What is it?" Lily asked, dismounting. Marcus showed her the text. It was from an unknown number, but the message was clear. "You took something that doesn't belong to you. Bring the girl back or we'll come for her." Lily's blood ran cold. "Who sent that?" Marcus's jaw tightened. "Someone from your past. Someone I thought was long gone." "My past?" Lily's voice rose. "What are you talking about?" Marcus looked at her, his eyes filled with a mix of anger and fear. "Your mom had debts, Lily. Debts to people who don't forgive. And when she died, those debts transferred to you." Lily stumbled back. "You're saying someone thinks I owe them?" "Not just someone," Marcus said grimly. "A man named Voss. He runs a trafficking ring out of Reno, and he's been looking for you." The words hit Lily like a freight train. "Trafficking?" Marcus nodded. "Your mom borrowed money from him years ago. She couldn't pay it back, so he told her the debt would be settled when you turned 18. She ran before he could collect. But now that she's dead and you're almost legal, he wants to claim what he thinks he's owed." Lily's hands shook. "And you knew about this?" "Not until 3 days ago," Marcus said. "I started digging into your mom's past after we reconnected. I found out about Voss and sent word through some old contacts that you were under my protection. But clearly, he doesn't care. Lily felt the world tilting beneath her. So what do we do? Marcus's eyes hardened. We end this, once and for all. He turned to the crew, who'd gathered around during the conversation. Voss is coming for her. We need to be ready. Diesel cracked his knuckles. Then let's give him a fight he won't forget. They set up at an abandoned rest stop 20 miles outside Elk Ridge. Marcus knew Voss would come. Men like him didn't make threats they couldn't back up. And sure enough, just after midnight, 3 black SUVs rolled into the parking lot, headlights cutting through the darkness. Lily stood behind Marcus, her heart pounding. She'd insisted on staying, refusing to hide while the crew put their lives on the line for her. Voss stepped out of the lead vehicle, a tall, gaunt man in an expensive suit, flanked by 6 armed men. His smile was cold and predatory. "Marcus Calloway," Voss called out. "I heard you'd gone soft. Didn't believe it until now." Marcus stepped forward, his posture calm but his eyes blazing. "The girl's not for sale, Voss. Walk away." Voss laughed. "Walk away? She owes me $50,000, her mother's debt, and I always collect." "She doesn't owe you anything," Marcus said evenly. "Her mother's dead. The debt died with her." "That's not how this works," Voss said, his smile fading. "She's mine, and if you don't hand her over, I'll take her by force." Marcus took another step forward. "You're welcome to try." The tension crackled like electricity. Voss's men raised their weapons. The Iron Veil crew shifted, hands moving toward concealed firearms, and then Lily stepped out from behind Marcus. "Wait," she said, her voice strong despite the fear coursing through her veins. "If this is about money, I'll pay it." Voss's eyes lit up. "Oh, sweetheart, it's not just about the money anymore. It's about respect. And your mother disrespected me." "Then take it out on me," Lily said, lifting her chin. "Leave them out of it." Marcus grabbed her arm. "Lily, no." But she pulled free. "I'm tired of running. I'm tired of other people fighting my battles. If he wants me, he can have me." Voss's grin widened. "Smart girl." He started walking toward her. And that's when Marcus moved. In one fluid motion, he stepped between Voss and Lily, his hand shooting out to grab Voss by the throat. The move was so fast, so unexpected, that Voss's men hesitated. "You don't touch her," Marcus growled. "You don't even look at her. Because if you do, I'll make sure you regret every second of your miserable life." Voss's face turned red as he clawed at Marcus's grip. "You're making a mistake." "No," Marcus said. "You made the mistake when you threatened my daughter." He released Voss, who stumbled back, gasping for air. The Iron Veil crew had surrounded Voss's men, weapons drawn, daring them to make a move. "This ends now," Marcus said. "You leave. You forget her name. And if I ever hear you're looking for her again, I'll burn your entire operation to the ground. Understood?" Voss glared at him, fury and humiliation warring on his face. But he was outnumbered and outmatched. "This isn't over," he spat. "Yes," Marcus said quietly. "It is." Voss climbed back into his SUV, and the convoy peeled out of the parking lot, disappearing into the night. The crew erupted in cheers, but Marcus just turned to Lily, who was staring at him with wide eyes. "You would have killed him for me," she whispered. Marcus nodded. "Without hesitation." 2 weeks had passed since the confrontation with Voss, and the desert wind carried a different kind of weight now, not the heaviness of secrets and fear, but the lightness of possibility. The Iron Veil crew had set up camp outside Moab, Utah, in a sprawling canyon where red rocks touched the sky and the world felt both ancient and brand new. Lily sat on a weathered picnic table, watching the crew prepare for what Marcus had called a ceremony. She'd heard whispers about it over the past few days, hushed conversations that stopped when she walked by, knowing glances between members who'd been with the MC for years. "Nervous?" Jinx asked, sliding onto the bench beside her. The redhead had become something of a sister to Lily over the past 2 weeks, teaching her how to ride, how to handle a wrench, and how to throw a punch that actually landed. "Should I be?" Lily asked, her voice steady despite the flutter in her chest. Jinx smiled. "Nah, this is a good thing. Trust me." As the sun began its descent toward the horizon, casting long shadows across the canyon floor, Marcus approached. He'd cleaned up for the occasion, his leather vest polished, his boots free of road dust, and his expression carrying a weight that Lily had learned meant something important was about to happen. "It's time," he said simply, extending his hand. Lily took it, and he led her to the center of the camp, where the entire crew had gathered in a circle. 17 men and women, each bearing scars and stories of their own, each having chosen the road and each other over the conventional world that had failed them. Diesel stepped forward, his prosthetic leg gleaming in the fading light. As the crew's sergeant-at-arms, he'd earned his position through loyalty and blood. "Lily Calloway," he began, his voice carrying across the canyon. "You stand before the Iron Vale Motorcycle Club not as a stranger, not as a guest, but as someone who's proven herself worthy of this family." Lily's throat tightened. She hadn't expected this, hadn't dared to hope that she could belong somewhere so completely. "You've faced your past with courage," Diesel continued. "You've stood your ground when most would have run, and you've shown us that blood doesn't make family. Loyalty does. So now we ask you, do you want to ride with us? Do you want to wear this patch and carry the weight of what it means?" Lily looked around the circle, seeing faces that had become familiar. Jinx with her fierce protectiveness, Diesel with his steady strength, Ghost with his quiet wisdom, Razor with her sharp humor, and Marcus, standing at the edge of the circle, his eyes glistening with pride and something deeper. Redemption, maybe, or hope. "I do," Lily said, her voice clear and strong. "I want to be part of this family." Diesel nodded, then turned to Marcus. "Then let her father present the vest." Marcus stepped forward, and for the first time since she'd pointed that gun at him in the gas station parking lot, Lily saw him cry. Not loud, desperate sobs, but quiet tears that tracked down his weathered face as he held up a leather vest. Black, worn soft by years of wind and weather, with the Iron Vale patch stitched across the back. A rocker above it read Utah, and below, in fresh stitching, was a single word, redeemed. "This was mine," Marcus said, his voice rough. "I wore it for 15 years, through good times and bad, through losses and victories, and now I want you to have it, because you've given me something I thought I'd lost forever, a reason to be better, a reason to stay." He helped her into the vest, and as the leather settled on her shoulders, Lily felt the weight of it. Not just the physical weight, but the responsibility, the promise, the belonging. The crew erupted in cheers, engines revving in celebration, and Jinx pulled her into a bone-crushing hug. "Welcome home, sister," Jinx whispered. That night, they built a bonfire that reached toward the stars. Someone pulled out a guitar, and the crew sang old road songs that Lily didn't know but learned by listening. Marcus sat beside her, his arm around her shoulders, and she leaned into him. This man who'd failed her once, but was fighting every day to make it right. "Thank you," she said quietly, so only he could hear. Marcus squeezed her shoulder. "For what? For coming back? For fighting for me? For giving me this?" Marcus was quiet for a long moment, watching the flames dance. "I should have done it 16 years ago, but I'm here now, and I'm not going anywhere." Lily looked up at him, seeing the lines around his eyes, the grey in his beard, the scars on his hands. He was imperfect and broken and human, but he was hers, and that was enough. "Neither am I," she said. The next morning they taught her the rules. The Iron Vale had a code, not written down, but understood by everyone who wore the patch. You rode together. You protected each other. You never left anyone behind. You respected the road, respected your word, and respected the family. Ghost, an older member with silver hair and eyes that had seen too much, pulled Lily aside during breakfast. "Your father told me what you went through," he said, his voice gentle. "The years alone, the survival. I want you to know something. Lily waited, sensing the weight of what he was about to say. You're not that person anymore, Ghost continued. The girl who had to fight every day just to exist. She's still part of you, and you should honor her. But you're also becoming someone new, someone who has people in her corner, someone who doesn't have to face the world alone. Lily nodded, her eyes stinging. It's hard to believe sometimes that this is real. Ghost smiled. It's real, and it's yours. Don't let anyone, not even yourself, take that away from you. Over the following weeks, Lily learned what it meant to be Iron Veil. She learned to read the road like a language, the way asphalt hummed under her tires, the way wind patterns shifted before a storm, the way other riders communicated with hand signals and engine revs. She learned mechanical skills from Razor, a former Marine who could rebuild an engine blindfolded. She learned navigation from Jinx, who had a photographic memory for routes and shortcuts. But most importantly, she learned trust. She learned that when Marcus said he'd be there, he meant it. She learned that when the crew made a promise, they kept it. She learned that family wasn't about perfection. It was about showing up, even when it was hard. One afternoon, while they were camped outside Flagstaff, Arizona, Marcus taught her how to do a basic tune-up on her bike. His hands were patient as he showed her how to check the oil, adjust the chain tension, and read the spark plugs for signs of engine trouble. "Why are you teaching me all this?" Lily asked, wiping grease from her fingers. Marcus looked up, surprised. "Because you need to know. Out here, your bike is your lifeline. You need to be able to take care of it, trust it, depend on it." "No," Lily said. "I mean, why are you teaching me? You could have had Ghost or Razor do it." Marcus set down his wrench and met her eyes. "Because I want to. Because I missed 16 years of teaching you things. How to ride a bike, how to drive a car, how to change a tire, how to stand up for yourself. I can't get those years back, but I can make sure you know everything I should have taught you." Lily felt her chest tighten. "You're really trying, aren't you?" "Every single day," Marcus said quietly. "And I'll keep trying for the rest of my life." Lily wiped her eyes with the back of her hand, leaving a streak of grease across her cheek. Marcus laughed, a real, genuine laugh, and used his bandana to clean her face, just like a father would. And in that moment, Lily realized something profound. She'd forgiven him. Not because he'd earned it through grand gestures or dramatic apologies, but because he'd shown up. Every single day, he'd shown up. If this story moved you, hit that like button and let us know in the comments. 6 months had passed since that night in the desert when a teenage girl had pointed a gun at a stranger and discovered he was her father. 6 months of open roads, late-night conversations around campfires, and slowly learning how to be a family. The Iron Veil had traveled through 8 states, taken on 3 charity rides for veteran causes, and helped rebuild a community center in New Mexico that had been damaged by floods. Lily had been part of all of it, her vest growing more worn with each mile, her confidence growing with each challenge she faced. Now they sat outside a diner in Whitefish, Montana, watching the sunset over mountains that looked like they'd been carved by giants. The air was crisp and clean, carrying the scent of pine and possibility. Marcus and Lily had ridden ahead of the crew, taking a detour through Glacier National Park just to see the autumn colors before winter claimed them. "You ever regret it?" Marcus asked, killing his engine and pulling off his helmet. "Giving me a second chance." Lily sat on her bike, a restored 1972 Triumph Bonneville that Diesel had helped her rebuild from a rust bucket they'd found in a Nevada scrapyard, and thought about the question, really thought about it. She thought about the girl she'd been 6 months ago, angry, desperate, alone. She thought about the nights she'd spent in her car, wondering if anyone in the world would care if she disappeared. She thought about the weight of the gun in her hand, and the hollow certainty that ending Marcus's life would somehow fill the void inside her. And then she thought about who she was now, a member of the Iron Veil MC, a daughter, a sister to 16 people who'd proven they'd die for her. She thought about the skills she'd learned, the places she'd seen, the person she was becoming. "No," she said finally, meeting his eyes. "I don't regret it. You kept your promise. That's all that mattered." Marcus smiled, a real, genuine smile that reached his eyes and made the lines on his face deepen into something that looked like hard-won peace. "I'm proud of you, kid, more than you'll ever know." Lily felt warmth spread through her chest. "I'm proud of you too, old man. You could have run when I showed up with that gun. Could have told me to get lost, that you'd moved on, but you didn't. You stayed. You fought. You chose me." Marcus's voice was thick when he spoke. "I should have chosen you 16 years ago. Every day, I wish I could go back and make a different choice, but I can't. All I can do is make the right choice now. Every single day, I choose you." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the sky turn from brilliant orange to deep purple. A hawk circled overhead, riding thermal currents, and somewhere in the distance, a train whistle echoed through the valley. "I got something for you," Marcus said, reaching into his saddlebag. He pulled out a small wooden box, worn smooth by age and handling. "This belonged to my father, your grandfather. He gave it to me before he died, told me to pass it down when I had a kid of my own." Lily took the box carefully, feeling the weight of history in her hands. She opened it to find a silver compass, the kind that navigators used before GPS existed. The metal was tarnished but beautiful, and engraved on the back were 4 words: "Find your way home." "He told me something when he gave it to me," Marcus continued, his voice distant with memory. "He said that home isn't a place, it's people. It's the ones who see you at your worst and choose to stay anyway. It's the ones who believe in you even when you don't believe in yourself." Lily traced the engraving with her thumb, her vision blurring. "I thought I'd never find that. Home, I mean. I thought I was meant to be alone." "You were never meant to be alone," Marcus said firmly. "I failed you. The system failed you. But you were always meant to be loved, to be protected, to belong." Lily closed the compass and looked up at him. "Can I ask you something? Anything. You think Mom would be proud of who I'm becoming?" Marcus's expression softened with a mixture of pain and compassion. "Your mother loved you, Lily. She was sick. Addiction is a disease, not a choice. But she loved you. And yes, I think she'd be incredibly proud. You survived everything she couldn't protect you from. You became strong and brave and good, despite everything you went through. That's not just survival. That's victory." Lily nodded, swallowing hard. She'd spent so long being angry at her mother, angry at Marcus, angry at the world. But sitting here now, with the compass in her hand and the vest on her back, she felt something shift. The anger was still there. She suspected it always would be, in some small corner of her heart, but it no longer defined her. "I think I'm ready," she said. Marcus frowned. "Ready for what?" "To let go. Of the anger. Of the past. I don't want to carry it anymore. It's too heavy." Marcus reached out and took her hand. His palm was calloused from years of gripping handlebars and working with his hands, and his grip was strong and steady. "That's the bravest thing you've ever said. And I'm right here with you. We'll let go together." They sat there as darkness fell completely, the stars emerging one by one like pinpricks in a velvet curtain. The diner behind them glowed warmly, and through the windows they could see the Iron Veil crew filing in, laughing and joking, saving seats for the two of them. "You know what the best part is?" Lily said quietly. "What's that?" "I don't wake up scared anymore. I used to wake up every morning wondering how I'd survive the day. Now I wake up wondering what adventures we'll have. That's everything." Marcus squeezed her hand. "That's what family does. It gives you something to look forward to instead of just something to survive." They dismounted and headed toward the diner, but before they reached the door, Lily stopped. "Hey, Dad?" It was the first time she'd called him that. Just Dad. Not Marcus, not old man, not anything else. Just the simple, powerful word that connected them. Marcus froze, his eyes going wide. Yeah? Thank you for not giving up, for finding your way back to me. Marcus pulled her into a hug, and this time there was no hesitation, no uncertainty, just a father and daughter holding on to each other like they'd never let go. Thank you for giving me a chance to be your father, Marcus whispered. It's the greatest honor of my life. Inside the diner, the crew cheered as they walked in together. Jinx had ordered them both burgers, extra pickles for Lily, no onions for Marcus, and Ghost had claimed the corner booth with the best view of their bikes parked outside. It was loud and chaotic and perfect. As they ate and laughed and planned the next leg of their journey, Lily looked around the table at these people who'd become her family. They weren't perfect. They'd all made mistakes, carried scars, lost people they loved, but they'd chosen each other. And in choosing each other, they'd created something unbreakable. Later that night, as they set up camp under Montana stars, Marcus started a fire while Lily unrolled sleeping bags. The temperature was dropping fast, and by morning there'd be frost on the ground. But for now the flames kept them warm, and the night was peaceful. I've been thinking, Lily said, sitting beside him on a log, about the future. Yeah? What about it? I want to stay, with the crew, with you, not just for a few months, but for real. I want to earn my sergeant patch. I want to learn how to lead rides. I want to help with the charity work. I want to build something that lasts. Marcus looked at her with so much pride it almost hurt. You've got years ahead of you, Lily. You could do anything. Go to college, start a career, build a normal life. I don't want normal, Lily said firmly. Normal didn't save me. You did. This family did. And I want to spend my life giving that to other people, kids like me who think they're alone. I want to show them that family isn't about blood or biology. It's about choice. And I choose this. Marcus nodded slowly, then stood and walked to his bike. He returned with a small leather pouch and handed it to her. Then you'll need these. Lily opened the pouch to find a set of sergeant-at-arms patches, the same rank Diesel held. They were earned through years of service, dedication, and proven leadership. They weren't given lightly. These aren't for now, Marcus said. They're for when you're ready. Could be a year, could be 5. But when the crew votes and decides you've earned them, you'll have something to wear, a reminder that we believe in you, that we see your potential, that we're proud of who you're becoming. Lily clutched the patches to her chest, tears streaming down her face. I won't let you down. You couldn't if you tried, Marcus said. You're already more than I ever dreamed you'd be. They sat by the fire until the flames died down to glowing embers, talking about dreams and plans and possibilities. And as the first light of dawn began to touch the eastern sky, Lily realized something profound. She'd finally found her way home, not to a place, not to a building or a town or a state, but to a person, to a family, to a promise kept and a future built on loyalty, love, and second chances. And that was worth more than all the years they'd lost, because those lost years had led them here, to this moment, this fire, this family, to redemption. Thank you for riding with us on this journey of redemption, forgiveness, and the unbreakable bonds of chosen family. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We've got more stories of courage, loyalty, and the power of second chances coming your way. Remember, it's never too late to find your way home. Until next time, keep the rubber side down and the shiny side up. Ride safe and always choose family.